Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to ChannelBK. My name is Brian, and we're here for our 6th classic album review. 2020 was shit. I decided that I thought it would be a good idea to add another classic album review, and I might actually do this down the road still with 6, and I just thought what would be a more fitting and better way to celebrate this, because obviously if I'm going to add a slot, I gotta do something, right? Something big, something huge. So I decided, let's do Abbey Road by the Beatles. The Beatles are a small indie rock band, I believe, back from the 60s. And this was their second to last studio album. This was mainly their last album that they actually recorded, but we're not gonna talk about Let It Be. Obviously, again, haha, my joke, small indie band. Blech. Of course, the Beatles, easily the biggest, most influential, most known group of all time, the Beatles. Yes, I thought this would be a fun way to celebrate. I was always very trepidatious doing a Beatles album, mainly because I felt like there was, again, it took me a lot of time to figure out like what would be the album I thought was best to review. There are a lot of contenders, you know, I don't want to necessarily be like the Beatles are so perfect, because at the end of the day, even though when I was that age when I was getting into more music, and the Beatles were definitely one of the first bands, and there's a lot of media coming out about the Beatles at the time, so I kind of got slapped in the face with them, knowing like, you know, their songs, and obviously I feel like a lot, if not most people, should know at least a good handful of their songs. There are a lot of different kinds of sounds that they did. Obviously, they started as this, you know, up-and-coming boy band, an old-school boy band, which then turned into just psychedelic trip rock group, and then it became a more sort of refined, older, sort of well-put-together group. You can look at something like Revolver, which I think is a very influential album in terms of them switching it up, and some of the songs and the instrumentation on this album is breathtaking and incredible for the time. You look at Sgt. Pepper, which I know I'm going to get blasted for it. I think it's slightly overrated. I still think it's a great album. I already know I'm dead now because I just said that on video. But at the end of the day, I do think it's a great album. It's important, but I do feel like it was a more sort of just refined vision of what they were trying to do when they switched up on Rubber Soul and then Revolver. And then you look at something like the White Album, which is just this crazy, bombastic, just experimental, all over the place, like, it's just, that album is just crazy ambitious and all of that. But I thought Abbey Road, obviously we're at Abbey Road, is the album that I thought, because again, I think this is an album that near the end of their career, this is still an album that is still super experimental, super interesting. It has so many qualities to it that I think are incredible, and I think these are some of their best songs they've written, and it's definitely an album that is clearly mythicized in a lot of ways, from its album cover to, you know, just the title of it, from the studio they recorded at. The Beatles are definitely a band that they had their albums that they experimented. They had their albums where they came together to make something that was just a full body of work. I think Abbey Road is definitely a mix of that, as I was sort of leaning into earlier, which is sort of an album that has a lot of very experimental qualities on it, but at the end of the day, this is an album where it literally, as from the opening song on this album, they really do come together, even though it's very clear that they were falling apart at this time, to come up with an album that is a lot of their strengths, a lot of stuff that they could have done after this if it happened, but also just a combination of their minds, their creativity, their musicality. It really just feels like a fitting end to the group. Even though Let It Be was released after this, it does feel like this was the last time they ever recorded. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of these songs, I'm not gonna be so overly specific, because there are certain songs on here that I think are just very blunt in saying they're incredible, or just they're great for what they are, or they're iconic. Like Come Together, as I was saying, which opens this album. The bass line on this is incredible. I love the drumming on here again. I think all 4 of them really just brought their A game to what they do and what they bring, and again, I thought it was just incredible. This song, in a way, as the years go by, like, you know, we've seen it covered a bunch, and it's sort of this, you know, come together anthem and all this, but the song just being a bunch of John's, like, non sequiturs just laid all over here. It's a very quotable song, but in, like, a weird way possible, you know. The 1 and 1 and 1 is 3, you know, he got feet down below his knees. It's a funny song to just look into when, you know, you see it quoted as this, again, this anthemic, yes, we gotta come together, and then you actually look at the rest of the lyrics and you're like, Something, which is a George written song, which is a very gorgeous love ballad. My god, the switch up on the bridge of this song is fucking awesome, and it is definitely one of the most captivating things the group has done. Every time it happens, I just feel like my body just gets chills because it's just so fucking awesome. And then we follow up the sort of emotional height to something that's a little bit more goofy and playful, like Maxwell's Silver Hammer, which is iconically a song that the whole group hated because Paul was very anal about how long it was taking and how perfect it had to be. I think this is a fun song, to be honest. I'm into it. I like the storytelling of it about this sort of murderer that's either framed or he's actually murdering people. It's very much left to your interpretation. I just think it's a very fun, playful song given the content, and even Paul's writing is very playful and fun too, given what it is. Oh Darling, which is one of the best Paul McCartney performances ever. This is such a soulful song. It is, again, it's just an anthem of love. Like, I just don't want you to leave. Believe me, I don't want you to go. It could be looked at as like a really eerie, sad reference to John wanting to leave the group. I think, the vocal delivery is incredible. The fact that he clearly had to take multiple takes and put all of it together because of his vocals, especially on the chorus where he's just like, "You don't leave me anymore." Like, it's clearly, I need a lot more lessons than that, but it's just so powerful, passionate. It's so, in a way, it really is sexy and like just incredible, and it's just a great put together song. And then Octopuses Guardian follows it up, which is the, I believe, second song that Ringo has ever written for the band. And this is, again, such a fun, bubbly, catchy song. I love the storytelling on it. It's lovely. It's great. I Want You, She's So Heavy, is a Lennon song that finishes out the A side of this, and it clearly feels like two very different songs put together. It's a simple song. It's Lennon just expressing his love for Yoko Ono. The heavy gospel influences are on there with the organs, and it's just the progression of this song is just so captivating, and just the way it changes up and all the solos. It's just so great. And then we finally get to like a place of peace and levity again with Here Comes the Sun. George writing an incredible song that, again, is a song that everybody knows, everybody quotes, but it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And it's, again, in that time of writing these songs that have these very deep, powerful meanings, poetic meanings. It sort of is looked at now like where it's like if you were to write a song like this, it's very generic in an idea of, you know, having something that's so simple, like, you know, the day's gonna be okay, this and this, but the idea of Here Comes the Sun, it's all right, it hits so well. Again, the songwriting and the performances on this album are some of the best the Beatles have ever done, and the fact this was their last album, recording wise, was so depressing. And then we get to Lennon's Because, which is very influenced by the Beach Boys with the harmonies of the entire group. And this is the last full song really on the album. I shouldn't say full because some of the songs following this are full, but it is the last sort of full song before we get into the iconic Abbey Road medley that finishes out this album, which is mainly just a bunch of either mainly finished songs, which are kind of early on, but a lot of songs that were unfinished, and then they collided together, and it's about a 16-17 minute just straight through of all these little ideas and creative songwriting things. And again, listening to this album for the first time, I was sort of thrown off. I'm like, what the hell's going on? For them to have this be their way of just ending their musical career as a group is so just, again, genre defining, super influential, and just so mesmerizing. Which kind of starts, again, like in a very gorgeous way with You Never Give Me Your Money, which is a song written about sort of the band's problems. It's this idea of where the band once was, where they are now, all the problems they had to deal with each other, the label, money, all these problems. And it's such a cathartic moment because as I get to the very end of this album, it has this really beautiful arc. Because even though it does go into some detours, it definitely, from this song, grows in terms of the actual characterization and the growing of these characters, and the way it ends sort of foreshadows what this part is about. And then we get to some Lennon written songs like Sun King, which follows it up. It is a very moody, sort of spacious, sad song from Lennon. We follow that up with Mean Mr. Mustard, which is a story or storytelling gem about, from what it seems like, a homeless man trying to make it for himself. And again, just the characterization and the imagery that Lennon paints on here, I think, is really just in-depth and creative. Polythene Pam, I believe, which has, in my opinion, some of the best Ringo Starr percussion, as well as if anyone else sort of was on there, but I'm honestly pretty sure it is Ringo, where it's just in your face, so creative, so charismatic, just in the sounds of the percussion. She Came In Through the Bathroom Window is the following song on here, which is a McCartney written song, or, you know, little snippet about sort of a fan sneaking legitimately into his bathroom window and him sort of painting that story of that, and again sort of including that little snippet here, which then is followed up by Golden Slumbers, which is the string arrangements, the piano on here is stunning, gorgeous, heartbreaking, heartfelt. I love the lyrics on this song. I think the emotion is incredible. We then have a jaw-dropping transition into Carry That Weight, which is again another anthemic song of, again, Paul sort of calling back to the beginning of this whole medley of, you know, all these problems, but at the end of the day, you have to move on. You have to carry that weight. You got to stay strong. You got to be good. And it's such a cathartic, again, structure of a medley to have this storyline, because then that follows into the last song on here, fittingly called The End, which has a solo from every member of the group, and the sort of whole notion of them speaking to each other, to their fans, to everyone that loved their music, I thought was incredible. And the fact that the finale to this entire song in this entire album, besides Your Majesty, which is, I think, a fun little kind of quirky, fun guitar piece after this, which is a hidden track, ends with a line that is something along the lines of, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. What a fucking way to go out. It's incredible. It's such a brilliant way of ending the album. Again, it felt like there was so much self-awareness in terms of being creative, doing what they do best, doing stuff that they never have done before, letting everyone get in and do what they do best, be strong about it, and put together just a very defining album for the band. And it's stunning. It is so stunning to have, you know, again, I keep bringing up Let It Be, all that sort of stuff, but the fact that this would have and could have been their last album in a way, for this to be the way they go out, some bands probably envy this. You know, some bands go out and there's this sort of drama and it falls apart, or they don't come out with something that's this just stellar of a capsule and a cork on their career. The Beatles freaking did it. Like, this is incredible. This is so great. This is some of the best stuff I think they've done, and I think it's just an incredible album, and it's a classic album. And I just was so excited to talk about it because I think it's incredible. So if you've listened to Abbey Road, again, you know the drill. Comment below your thoughts, favorite songs, all that stuff. If you like, please like, and please subscribe. Go check out all my other classic reviews. Check out all my lists from this year. I know it was a slog to get through 2020, but I was glad to do another classic review, and hopefully I can do 6 new classic reviews once again when this time comes. But again, thank you all so much. I had so much fun, and this is, again, probably my favorite time of being on ChannelBK, just talking about albums that I think are incredible, that I love. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for tuning into ChannelBK. Peace out, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. Love you all.